For the best meat you have ever eaten in your life, go to samsbutchershop.com. Enter the coupon code Triple T when you check out for a 10% discount. Hello, everybody, and a happy Tuesday to you. Trailer Trash Tim. I got a whole lot to talk about today, so let's go ahead and get going. And I want to lead with this border security bill. As you probably know, if you've been paying attention to American news, if you're in America, there's a bill in the Senate that is a border security bill that is thankfully, apparently, dead on arrival. This is a bill that is co-sponsored by a couple of Democrats. Let's see here, and a Republican. It's co-sponsored by Chris Murphy of Connecticut, a Democrat, Kristen Sinema of Arizona, who is actually an independent now. She left the Democratic Party, and a Republican, a token Republican, good old James Lankford of Oklahoma. I want to talk about this bill because I want to kind of deconstructed it to find out what's in it. You need to know, if you're an American, what's in this bill, and you need to be hoping and praying that it's going to die a grisly death, and I believe that it will. This headline reads in the Gateway Pundit: Opposition grows. 20 Senate Republicans pledge to reject the uniparty border betrayal bill, and 29 have yet to declare their stance. But in the article goes on and on. But here are the deets. Okay, I got the deets for you. Listen to this. The comprehensive $118.28 billion national security supplemental package bill allocates a staggering $60.6 billion to guess who? That's right, Ukraine. So in other words, we're going to address the American border security problem by sending money to Ukraine. Brilliant, right? Well, thank you, good Republican Senator Lankford of Oklahoma. That's using your brain. Why don't you go run for a political office in Ukraine, Mr. Lankford? $60.06 billion. That's over half the bill. That is over half of the bill. The bill is $118 billion, and 60 of it is going to Ukraine. Just let that sink in for a minute. How are we going to secure the American border? Well, of course, by sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. Can you do the math on that? Oh, but it continues. $14.1 billion is going to Israel. That's right, Israel. So we got $60 billion for Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel. We hadn't got to America yet. You know, we're kind of down the list. $14 billion for Israel. I gotta take a rabbit trail here for a minute and say something about Israel, because I haven't talked about this actually in several weeks, and I need to address it. First of all, Israel has plenty of money. The Israel lobby in American politics is obscene. Absolutely obscene. And there are people who believe, and perhaps rightly so, that they absolutely run American politics. That's not anti-Semitic to say. It's got some truth to it, folks. But I want to revisit what is happening in Gaza at the hands of the Israelis. You need to understand, if you don't already, that what is happening in Gaza is absolute genocide. That's what's going on in Gaza. And we are supporting it. We are supporting genocide. Don't you think that our political leaders and our entertainers who like to dabble in politics ought to be aware, ought to be speaking out against the genocide of innocent civilians in Gaza at the hand of Israel? Why are they not? Isn't that interesting to you? You would think anybody would speak out against genocide. And I don't want to get too far down the religious rabbit hole here, but I have to remind you, there is a segment within Christendom which believes, falsely, that the nation state of Israel is somehow God's chosen people. That is simply not the case. And most of Christendom has never believed that. And the church, of course, has never taught that. Now, there are holy places in Israel. This is the land where Christ walked and lived. That is true. But there are also holy places in America. There's holy places in Russia. There are holy places in Greece. There are holy places in Palestine, which Israel is bombing the hell out of and killing innocent civilians. This needs to stop, and there needs to be more collective outrage from our political leaders and our entertainers, for example, on this utter genocide. And if you are a Christian, you need to understand, I have said, and you can readily access this on the internet. You can go and watch videos of your fellow Christians who happen to live in Palestine who are absolutely being obliterated, destroyed, killed, just wiped off the face of the earth. Christian worshipers in Palestine who are having to worship now out under in the elements because the state of Israel has bombed their church to smithereens. If you are a Christian, this should outrage you. These are your brothers and sisters. Hello? Why would you support the Jewish state of Israel who is exterminating your fellow Christians in Gaza? Why would you do that? Is that not a little schizophrenic? Now, I didn't want to make this video on that exclusively, but it does need to be mentioned that it is many Christians, and yes, Muslims, in Gaza who are being exterminated by the state of Israel, the Jewish state of Israel. And folks, I'm telling you, if you call yourself a Christian and you are not at least offended by the genocide of innocent human beings. I'm not talking about Hamas, okay? I'm talking about the rank and file Gazan, the rank and file Palestinian, many of whom are Christian. They're not all a bunch of Muslims. Many of them are Christian, and they are being exterminated by the Jewish state of Israel. Are you still stuck in this way of thinking that the Jews are God's chosen people? Give me a break. He came unto his own, the Jews, and the Jews received him not. They rejected him. They are not God's chosen people. I did not mean to go this route, but there it is. It's simply there. You know what Jesus called them? He called them the synagogue of Satan. That's what your Savior called them. Boy, have I stepped in it now. All right, back to the bill. Maybe that's another video for another day. So we've got a $118 billion bill, right? Get your hand out of the camera. $14 billion goes to Israel. $60 billion goes to Ukraine. $2.4 billion to support operations in U.S. Central Command and address combat expenditures related to conflict in the Red Sea. And it goes on and on and on, but those are the two big ticket items. And you have to go way down the list. Okay, here we go, finally. $20.2 billion to address existing operational needs and expand capabilities at our nation's borders. Resource the new border policies included in the package and help stop the flow of fentanyl and other narcotics. Can you believe this? $118 billion for what is called the Border Security Bill. $60 billion goes to Ukraine. That's not a border security bill, certainly not for the American border. $15 billion goes to Israel. And finally, you get down to where $20 billion goes to address our operational needs at the border. Washington kills me. The deep state just kills me. They always complicate what is really simple. As I have told you, day one in office, President Triple T would simply do this, and it would not cost $120 billion. You simply pull our troops out of all these places around the world where they don't need to be, relocate them to the Texas border. I don't need a bill. I don't need $118 billion. We're just simply going to redeploy our troops and stop this nonsense once and for all. Simple, right? Why do we make the simple complicated? It isn't complicated, folks. This problem could easily be fixed. But instead, this is classic Washington, okay? Classic Washington politics. You construct a bill and you call it the Border Security Bill or whatever the technical name for it is. And then, you got a border security bill. Well, would you support the border security bill? Well, yeah, that sounds great. I want to secure the border. I'm all for this bill, but the devil is always in the details. It's not a border security bill. It's nothing but a facade to hide all the pork that we're going to funnel to Ukraine and Israel. Oh, and we'll throw a little pittance over to the American border. You would like to think if it's a border security bill, then it would be exclusively about the American border, but that's just not the way they play the game in Washington. It's a fraud, it's a facade, it's phony, and you got Republicans like James Lankford of Oklahoma supporting it. What's the matter with you, James Lankford? You got an R by your name and you support this dreck? Are you kidding me right now? Unbelievable. All right, let me move on from that. I have got so much to talk about today. I can't cover it all, but I'm gonna do what I can. Let's talk about Mayor Eric Adams of New York City. Mayor Eric Adams. We've been having fun with good old Mayor Adams here lately. You remember, of course, that New York City is a sanctuary city. But Mayor Adams has been bellyaching in recent days about the influx of illegal aliens into his sanctuary city. There should be no problem, right? It's a sanctuary city. Well, he was speaking at an event the other day, and I don't know what the event is, but I've got a quote from him at this event where a lot of the people that are that work for City Hall and that are on his mayoral staff were present. And Mayor Adams took the microphone and just started freestyling. And listen at what he said. He starts pointing at all the people that are on his staff, his mayoral staff in New York City. And this is what he said. Quote, "Have you ever seen this much chocolate leading the city of New York?" Marina sent me this story yesterday. I couldn't believe it. "Have you ever seen this much chocolate leading the city of New York? That's why people are hating on me." And he continued, "Jesus went to the temple and turned the tables over. I went to City Hall and turned the tables over." Wow. Wow, Mayor Adams. You have turned the tables over in New York City. And people are hating on you because of all the chocolate that is leading the city of New York. And he just starts pointing out all these black people that are on his staff. Praising the diversity of his staff. Why is it that Democrats in particular are so hung up on skin color? Why is that? Can anybody explain that to me? I'll tell you why. Because it's a political tool. That's why. Because they can ramp up and exacerbate and inflame people who identify with the notion that all Republicans are racist and they're evil and they hate black people or anybody of color, and we're all racist and misogynist and homophobes, and we just hate people. We hate everybody, anybody that ain't white. We just hate them. It's such baloney. It is such baloney. Do you know, I was thinking yesterday that, roughly half of the nation supports people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. And these political leaders such as Biden and Gavin Newsom, Eric Adams, and Hillary Clinton and people like this, Barack Obama, it goes on and on and on. They always play the race card. And they always lie about what Republicans actually believe. They always want you to believe that we are all those aforementioned things, the racist, the misogynist, all that. They always want you to believe that's how Republicans really are. We're nothing but a bunch of racists and homophobes and all that. And it's a lie. It is nothing but a lie. But you see, here's the thing. Half of the country, roughly, that is to say, the half of the country that votes for these lunatics like Biden and Obama, they believe this. You know why? Because they're not paying attention. Why? Because they're just too lazy. They're more concerned about what's happening in pop music or rap music or football, professional football or college football or whatever, or they're more concerned about just trivial things than they are about the things that are really important. And the only attention they give to more important issues such as politics is just long enough to have their preconceived notions reinforced by people like Biden and Obama and Al Sharpton and Eric Adams and people like this, that Republicans are all those evil things I just mentioned. And it's a lie. It's simply not true. The most Americans, most logical, conservative type Americans, we're not hung up on race or skin color. We're not hung up on things like that. We want the best for America, all Americans. It's not a Republican going around saying, have you ever seen this much chocolate leading the city of New York? You remember the mayor of, the former mayor of New Orleans, Ray Nagin, School Bus Nagin. Remember that? They're trying to evacuate New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina came through, and they've got all these school buses that could have helped evacuate all these innocent people out of the city, and he just let them sit. And Ray Nagin later said that New Orleans is always going to be a chocolate city. And he got called on that, and he said, no. What I meant was, like when you make Nestle's Quick, you put in milk and chocolate and stir it all together. Yeah, really, that's what you meant, Ray Nagin. And here you go with Eric Adams pulling the same stunt. It's these liberals, it's these left-wingers, it's these Democrats who are always injecting race into an equation. It's not the conservatives. It's not the Republicans, as far as I know. We're just out here wanting the best for everybody in the country. But we're having to fight against half the country who's just not paying attention. And this leads me into what I wanted to talk about with regard to the issue of reparations, particularly in the state of California, where this issue has reared its head again. Pardon me. Now, I don't want to dwell on this a long time, but I just want to say this. They've been talking more and more about reparations in California, and there was a time in recent history where the state of California and the of course, it's all Democrat. They're completely run by Democrats. Gavin Newsom, the governor, and his aunt, Nancy Pelosi from San Francisco, they're wanting these hundreds of billions or even trillions of dollars given to black Californians, apparently, to make up for all the slavery that was in America at one time. Reparations, we want to give them money so that we can, assuage ourselves of the guilt we feel for reparations. I don't want to get bogged down on this, but this is all I want to say about reparations. Okay, here we go. I have never in my 62, now almost 63 years, owned a slave. Never have. Never been a slave owner. How about that? Isn't that crazy? Here I am, a southern man down in Alabama, never been a slave owner. You wouldn't think that. No, I never owned a slave. Therefore, all I can tell you people who are touting reparations for slavery, good luck getting one plug nickel out of me. I am not responsible for the sins of anybody's fathers. Okay? By the way, there were slaves in the North. This isn't about slavery. This is about being made to people trying to make us responsible for a crime we did not commit. I have never owned a slave. But if you want to go down the route of reparations, then I'm simply going to tell you this. Here's our dirty little secret for you. In my ancestry, in Marina's ancestry, and in your ancestry, I will guarantee you, if you go back far enough in time, you have ancestors who were slaves. Guarantee you. You might have to go back a few thousand years, but I will guarantee you, you've got slaves in your family tree. I'm not demanding reparations from anybody for anything that happened to any of my forebears. Not at all. This is just a political stunt. Once again, the left drumming up things like reparations. It's just to get more votes. It's just to inflame people who aren't paying attention, who want to buy into the notion that all Republicans are evil racists. I will tell you that reparations is dead on arrival. Nothing's going to happen. They may give it lip service. There's not going to be any checks passed out. Where do you draw the line? How about children who have a black father and white mother or vice versa? Do they get a check as well? How are you going to do that? Are you going to extend it to Asian Americans? Irish Americans? Where do you draw the line? Where do you stop with this nonsense? Yeah, that's gonna die. It's not going anywhere. This coming Sunday is the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. I don't really have a dog in the hunt, but there you have it. Now, in recent years, it has been somewhat of a tradition for the American president to sit down for an interview. I believe it's before the game, not halftime. They have entertainment at halftime. Before the game, the president has a sit-down interview with whichever network is carrying the Super Bowl. Well, that's not going to happen this year. Joe Biden has declined to be interviewed for the Super Bowl. Interesting, right? Are you surprised by that? You shouldn't be. Why? Well, the reason is obvious. This man is mentally incapacitated, and he doesn't need, all of his sessions now are pretty much pre-planned for him. He is not subjected to questioning by the press. In some sort of forum where he has to be quick on his feet and he has to actually come up with answers that are not pre-written for him. That was one of the neat things about Trump. Trump would talk to anybody. He would take questions from anybody. He would seek out the press and say, "Hey, you want to come talk to me?" Not Biden. Now, think about it. It's an election year. In normal times, any political candidate, incumbent or otherwise, would just love to have this time slot made available to them, but not Biden. Trump is telling Biden, "Let's go, let's debate." He's ready to debate Joe Biden. And you know what Biden says? No. Well, of course not. Of course Biden doesn't want to debate Trump. He's just going to go hide in the basement as he normally does and somehow winds up getting more votes than Barack Hussein Obama. Isn't that interesting? Because he's so charismatic, right? Okay, I'm going to have to save some of this stuff for maybe tomorrow or another day. Let me at least cover this. Do you know the entertainer Pink? I know who Pink is. I couldn't tell you a song she sang if my life depended on it. You know, I was born in 61. I kind of came of age in the 70s, and I have long maintained the 70s were the best decade in music. We had the Eagles. We had Fleetwood Mac. We had, on and on. We still had Elvis in the 70s. That's more my kind of music. You know, my radio presets are pretty much on either news or classic rock and roll. That's my groove, right? So I don't know much about, and of course, there's some good music in the 80s. Of course, that would be my favorite band, Van Halen, Sammy Hagar. And I loved Kansas. I found Kansas in college, and I thought they were absolutely fantastic. Boston, on it, Steve Miller Band, on and on it goes. So I can't tell you much about Pink, other than I think she has pink hair. Pink said this, I think yesterday. Pink demands pro-life Americans, quote, never effing listen to my music again. Pink says to pro-life American, never listen to my effing music again. Hey, Pink, we got a deal. Hey, listen, give me your comments down below. Let me know what you think about everything we talked about today. How about this bill, right? $60 billion for Israel, another $15 for Israel, $60 billion for Ukraine. Give me your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Thank you so. Oh, by the way, thank you so much. I did a kind of an unusual video yesterday, and I got emails. I got great comments down below. Thank you so much. That was a little bit of a curveball I threw yesterday, but some of you that resonated with you, and I appreciate what you had to say. So thank you so much for that. Somebody asked me, was that a true story about Bob? That's an absolutely true story. That really happened. Absolutely happened. I also mentioned live stream Sunday. That was a lot of fun too. So thank all of you for coming to that. It was kind of hard to keep up with comments and do the thing at the same time. I guess I need Marina here with me so she can say, hey, he's saying this or whatever. But anyway, okay. Everybody go out there and like the video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the Triple T channel if you will. I would appreciate that. Go out there and have a tremendous Tuesday. This is Trailer Trash Tim. I will see you soon.